Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter number 23, verse number 87 onwards. We'll continue. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamam bande Shri Gurum Dintarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat. Verse 87. Well, verse 87 to verse 91, they're together. Atha vrindavaneshwaryaha kirtayante pravara gunaha madhureyam navavayash chalapango ujjwala smita charu saubhagya rekhadhya gandho madita madhava sangeeta prasara bhijna ramya van narma pandita vinita karuna purna vidgadha patvanita lajja sheela sumaryada dhairya gambhirya shalini suvilasa mahabhava paramotkarsha darshini gokul prema vasatir jagat shreni lasad yashaha Garva, or is it Gurva? Gurva Arpita Guru Sneha Sakhi Pranayita Vasha Krishna Priyavali Mukhya Santa Tashrava Keshava Bahuna Kim Gunash Tasyaha Sankhya Tita Harer Iva. So the translation goes like this. Srimati Radharani's 25 chief transcendental qualities are: first, she is very sweet. Second, she is always freshly youthful. Third, her eyes are restless. Fourth, she smiles brightly. Fifth, she has beautiful auspicious lines. Sixth, she makes Krishna happy with her bodily aroma. Seventh, she is very expert in singing. Eighth, her speech is charming. Ninth, she is very expert in joking and speaking pleasantly. 10th, she is very humble and meek. 11th, she is always full of mercy. 12th, she is cunning. 13th, she is expert in executing her duties. 14th, she is shy. 15th, she is always respectful. 16th, she is always calm. 17th, she is always grave. 18th, she is expert in enjoying life. 19th, she is situated at the topmost level of ecstatic love. 20th, she is the reservoir of loving affairs in Gokul. 21st, she is the most famous of submissive devotees. 22nd, she is very affectionate to elderly people. 23rd, she is very submissive to the love of her friends. 24th, she is the chief gopi. And lastly, the 25th quality is she always keeps Krishna under her control. In short, she possesses unlimited transcendental qualities, just as Lord Krishna does. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. These verses are found in Ujjwal Neelamani, Sri Radha, Prakarana, verses 11 to 15. Verse number 92. Nayak Naika Dui Rasera Alambana, Se Dui Shrestha Radha Vrajendra Nandana. The basis of all transcendental mellows is the hero and the heroine, and Srimati Radharani and Shri Krishna, the son of Maharaja Nanda, are the best. Verse 93. E mata dasye dasa sakhe sakhagana matsalye mata pita ashrayalambana. Just as Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani are the object and shelter of the mellow of conjugal love, respectively, so in the mellow of servitorship, Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, is the object, and servants like Chitraka, Raktaka and Patraka are the shelter. Similarly, in the transcendental mellow of friendship, Lord Krishna is the object, and friends like Sridham, Sudama, Subala are the shelter. So Sridhama, Sudama and Subal are the shelter. Krishna is the object. In the transcendental mellow of parental affection, Krishna is the object, and Mother Yashoda and Maharaj Nanda are the shelter. So what is the common thing among all the rasas is Krishna is the object of all the rasas. Verse 94, Ei rasa anubhave yaiche bhakta gana yaiche rasa hayas shuna tahar lakshana. Now here, how the mellow appear and how they are realized by the devotees on different transcendental platforms. Verse 95 to 98, they are together. Bhakti nirdhuta doshanam prasannojvala chetasam Shri Bhagavata raktanam rasikanga ranginam Jivani bhuta govinda pad bhakti sukha shriyam prema antaranga bhutani krityani evanu tishtatam bhaktanam ridi rajanti samskar yugo lojwala ratir ananda rupaivae niyamana tu rasayatam krishnadibhir vibha Vadayer Gater Anubhava Dhvani Prodhanandash Chamatkar Kashtham Apadyate Param. For those who are completely washed of all material contamination by pure devotional service, who are always satisfied and brightly enlightened in the heart, who are always attached to understanding the transcendental meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam, who are always eager to associate with the advanced devotees whose happiness in the service of the lotus feet of Govinda is their very life, who always discharge the confidential activities of love for such advanced devotees, who are by nature situated in bliss. The seed of love, that is the rati, is expanded in the heart by previous and current reformatory processes. Thus the mixture of ecstatic ingredients becomes tasty, and being within the perception of the devotee reaches the highest platform of wonder and deep bliss. Purport. These verses are found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1.7 to verse number 10. Verse 99. Airasa aswada nahi abhaktera gane Krishna bhakta gana kare rasa aswadane. The exchange between Krishna and different devotees situated in different transcendental mellows is not to be experienced by non-devotees. Advanced devotees can understand and appreciate the different varieties of devotional service reciprocated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse number 100. Sarvathaiva duroho ayam abhaktair bhagavad rasaha tat padambuja saraswair bhaktair evanu rasyate. Non-devotees cannot understand the exchange of transcendental mellows between the devotees and the Lord. In all respects, this is very difficult to understand, but one who has dedicated everything to the lotus feet of Krishna can taste the transcendental mellows. Purport. This verse is also found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.131. Verse 101. Sankshepe kahinun ei prayojana vivarana panchama purushartha ei Krishna prema dhana. This brief description is an elaboration of the ultimate goal of life. Indeed, this is the fifth and ultimate goal which is beyond the platform of liberation. It is called the Krishna prema dhana, the treasure of love for Krishna. Verse 102. Purve prayage ami rasera vichare tomar bhai rupa kailun shakti sanchare. Previously, I empowered your brother Rupa Goswami to understand these mellows. I did this while instructing him at the Dashwamedh Ghat in Prayag. So as we know, Sanatana Goswami is getting all these instructions from Krishna. Krishna Chaitanya, rather we should say, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is giving all the instruction to Sanatana Goswami about the ultimate love of Godhead in chapter number 23 of Madhya Lila here. Verse 103. Tumiha kariha bhakti shastrera prachara mathuraya lupta tirthera kariha uddhara. O Sanatan, you should broadcast the revealed scriptures on devotional service and excavate the lost places of pilgrimage in the district of Mathura. So these instructions are being given to these exalted Goswamis because they were going to do some special tasks for the Lord. So the Lord is instructing them. Verse 104, Vrindavane Krishna Seva Vaishnav Achara Bhakti Smriti Shastra Kari Kariya Prachar. Establish devotional service to Lord Krishna and Radharani in Vrindavan. You should also compile Bhakti scriptures and preach the Bhakti cult from Vrindavan. Purport, Sanatana Goswami was enjoined first to broadcast the revealed scriptures on devotional service and establish the conclusions of devotional service. Second, to re-establish lost places of pilgrimage like Vrindavan and Radha Kund. Third, to establish the Vrindavan method of temple worship and install deities in temples. Sri Sanatana Goswami established the Madan Mohan temple and Rupa Goswami established the Govindaji temple. The fourth was to enunciate the behavior of Vaishnav as Srila Sanatana Goswami did in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. In this way, Sanatana Goswami was empowered to establish the cult of Vaishnavism as stated by Srinivas Acharya in his Shad Goswami Ashtaka. The second verse is, Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunau Sad Dharma Samsthapakau Lokanam Hitkarinau Tribhuvane Maneo Sharanaya Karau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajanan Nandena Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghu Yugo Sri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely the Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami and Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the 3 worlds and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. This Krishna consciousness movement continues the tradition of the 6 Goswamis, especially Sri Sanatana Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami. Serious students of this Krishna consciousness movement must understand their great responsibility to preach the cult of Vrindavan, devotional service to the Lord all over the world. We now have a nice temple in Vrindavan, Prabhupada is saying in his purport here, and serious students should take advantage of it. I am very hopeful that some of our students can take up this responsibility and render the best service to humanity by educating people in Krishna consciousness. Verse 105, Yukta Vairagya Sthiti Sab Sikhaila Shushka Vairagya Jnana Sabe Nishedila. So let me check if I have skipped a verse or am I on the right verse here. Yes, I'm okay. So the translation goes like this. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Sanatana Goswami about the proper renunciation according to the particular situation, and the Lord forbade dry renunciation and speculative knowledge in all respects. Purport, this is the technique for understanding Shushka Vairagya and Yukta Vairagya. In the Bhagavad-Gita 6.17 it is said, Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha ha. He who is temperate in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. To broadcast the cult of Sri Krishna consciousness, one has to learn the possibility of renunciation in terms of country, time and candidate. A candidate for Krishna consciousness in the Western countries should be taught about the renunciation of material existence, but one would teach candidates from a country like India in a different way. The teacher or the acharya has to consider time, candidate and country. He must avoid the principle of niyamagraha, that is, he should not try to perform the impossible. What is possible in one country may not be possible in another. The acharya's duty is to accept the essence of devotional service. There may be a little change here and there as far as Yukta Vairagya or the proper renunciation is concerned. Dry renunciation or Shushka Vairagya is forbidden by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we have also learned this from our spiritual master, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj. The essence of devotional service must be taken into consideration and not the outward paraphernalia. Sanatana Goswami wrote his Vaishnava Smriti Hari Bhakti Vilas, which was specifically meant for India. In those days, India was more or less following the principle of Smarta Vidhi. Srila Sanatana Goswami had to keep pace with this, and his Hari Bhakti Vilas was compiled with this in mind. According to Smarta Brahmans, a person not born in Brahmana family could not be elevated to the position of a Brahman. Sanatana Goswami, however, says in Hari Bhakti Vilas 2.12 that anyone can be elevated to the position of Brahman by the process of initiation. Yatha kanchanatam yati kamasyam rasa vidhanatah tatha diksha vidhanena dvijatvam jayate nrinam. As bell metals turn into gold when mixed with mercury in an alchemical process, so one who is properly trained and initiated by a bona fide spiritual master immediately becomes a Brahmana. There is a difference between the Smarta process and the Goswami process. According to the Smarta process, one cannot be accepted as a Brahman unless he is born in Brahman family. According to the Goswami process, the Hari Bhakti Vilas and the Narad Pancharatra, anyone can be Brahman if he is properly initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. This is also the verdict of Shukadev Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.18. Kirat Hunandhara Pulinda Pulaksha Abhira Shumbha Yavanaha Khasadayaha Ye Anye Chapapa Yad Apashraya Shrayaha Shudhyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Kiratas, Hunas, Andhras, Pulindas, Pulakshas, Abhiras, Shumbhas, Yavanas, and member of the Krishna's Khasa race, and even others who are addicted to sinful acts, can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. A Vaishnav is immediately purified provided he follows the rules and regulations of his bona fide spiritual master. It is not necessary that the rules and regulations followed in India be exactly the same as those in Europe, America, and Western countries. Simply imitating other without effect is called Nimagraha. Not following the regulative principle but instead living extravagantly is called Niyamagraha. The word Niyama means regulative principle and Agraha means eagerness. The word Agraha means not to accept. We should not follow regulative principles without an effect, nor should we fail to accept the regulative principles. What is required is a special technique according to the country, time, and candidate. Without the sanction of the spiritual master, we should not try to imitate. This principle is recommended here. Shushka Vairagya Jnana Sabha Nishedhila. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's liberal demonstration of the Bhakti cult. We should not introduce anything whimsically without the sanction of the bona fide spiritual master. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments on these points by quoting two verses by Sri Rupa Goswami Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.255 and 256. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatharaham Upayunjatah Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate Prapanchak Katya Buddhaya Hari Sambandhi Vastunah Mumukshubhi Parityago Vairagyam Falgu Kathyate. When one is not attached to anything but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. To preach the Bhakti cult, one should seriously consider these verses. Verses 106 and 107. Adveshta sarva bhutana maitraha karuna evacha nirmamo nirankaraha sama dukkha sukha kshami santushtaha satatam yogi yadatma dhrida nishchayaha mayyarpita manobuddhir yo mad bhaktaha sa me priyaha. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is always satisfied, forgiving, and self-controlled, and who is engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence dedicated to me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Purport: one should not be jealous of members of the other castes or nations. It is not that only Indians or Brahmanas can become Vaishnavas. Anyone can become Vaishnav. Therefore, one should recognize the Bhakti cult must be spread all over the world. That is real Advaita. Moreover, the word Maitra, that is the friendly, indicates that one who is able to preach the Bhakti cult all over the world should be equally friendly to everyone. These 2 and following 6 verses were spoken by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 12, verses number 13 to verse number 20. Verse 108. Yasman nodvijite loko lokan nodvijite tu yaha harsha marsha bhayod vegair mukto yaha sacha me priyaha. He by whom no one is put into difficulty or anxiety and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is liberated from the jubilation, anger, fear and anxiety is very dear to me. Verse 109. Anapekshaha shuchir daksha udasino gata vyathaha sarvarambha parityagi yo me bhakta so me priya. So these are the verses from Bhagavad-Gita as we started reading a couple of verses ago, where Krishna is describing that who is really, which kind of devotee is really dear to Bhagwan, or who is the Bhakta Same Priya, as Bhagwan says. A devotee who is not dependent on others but is dependent solely on me, who is clean inwardly and outwardly, who is expert, indifferent to material things, without cares and free from all pains, and who rejects all pious and impious activities is very dear to me. Purport: the word anapeksha means that one should not be concerned with the mundane people and should not depend on them. One should depend solely on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and be free from material desires. One should also be clean within and without. To be outwardly clean, one should regularly bathe with soap and oil, and to be inwardly clean, one should always be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. The words Sarvarambha Parityagi indicates that one should not be interested in the so-called Smartha Vidhi of pious and impious activities. Verse 110. Yo na rishati na dveshti na shochati na kankshati Shubha Shubha Parityagi Bhakti Man Yah Same Priyaha. One who is free of all material jubilation, hatred, lamentation and desire, who renounces both materially auspicious and materially inauspicious things, and who is devoted to me is very dear to me. Verses 111 and 112. Samaha Shatrau Cha Mitre Cha Tatha Nana Pamanayoho Shitoshna Sukha Dukheshu Samah Sangha Vivarjitaha Tulya Ninda Stutir Mauni Santushto Yena Kenachit Aniketah Sthira Matir Bhakti Man Me Priyo Naraha. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from attachment to material things and always grave and satisfied in all circumstances, who doesn't care for any residence and who is always fixed in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. Verse 113. Yetu dharmamritam idam yathoktam paryupasate shraddha dhana mat parama bhaktaste ativa me priyaha. Devotees who follow these imperishable religious principles of Krishna consciousness with great faith and devotion, fully accepting me, that is Krishna, as the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Verse 114. Chirani kim pati santi dishanti bhiksham nevan ghari paha para bhritaha sarito api Ashushyan. Ruddha guhaha kim ajito avati no pasannan kasmad bhajanti kavayo dhana durma dan dhan. Dhana durmada andhan means persons who are puffed up with the material possessions. Translation: there are no torn clothes lying on the common road. Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer have arms in charity? Do the rivers being dried up no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or above all, does the unconquerable Supreme Personality of Godhead not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then should learned persons like devotees go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth? Purport: this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2.5. In this verse, Shukadev Goswami advises Maharaj Parikshit that a devotee should be independent in all circumstances. The body can be maintained with no problem if one follows the instructions given in this verse. To maintain the body, we require shelter, food, water, and clothing, and all these necessities can be obtained without approaching puffed up rich men. One can collect old garments that have been thrown out, one can eat fruits offered by the trees, one can drink water from the rivers, and one can live within the caves of mountains. By nature's arrangements, shelter, clothing, and food are supplied to the devotee who is completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee does not need a puffed up materialistic person to maintain him. In other words, devotional service can be discharged in any condition. This is the version from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.6. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshache ahaituki aparati hata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation of the dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. This verse explains that devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. Verse 115. तबे सनातन सब सिद्धांत पूछिला भागवत सिद्धांत गूढ़ सकली कहिला. Thereafter, Sanatana Goswami inquired from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the conclusive statements concerning devotional service, and the Lord very vividly explained all the confidential meanings of Srimad Bhagavatam. Verse 116. Hari Vamshe kahiyache goloke nitya sthiti Indra asi karila yabe Shri Krishnera stuti. In the revealed scriptures, Hari Vamsha, there is a description of Golok Vrindavan, the planet where Lord Krishna eternally resides. This information was given by King Indra when he surrendered to Krishna and offered prayers after Krishna had raised Govardhan hill. Purport: in the Vedic scripture Harivamsha Vishnu Parva chapter 19, there is the following description of Golok Vrindavan. Manushya lokad urdhvam tu khaganam gatir uchyate akashyo pariravir dwaram swargasya bhanunam swargad urdhvam brahma loko brahma rishi gana sevitah tatra soma gatish chaiva jyotisham cha mahatmanam tasyo parigavam lokah sadhyas tam palayanti hi sahi sarvagatah Krishnah mahakash gato mahan upari tatrapi gatis tav tapo pai yam na vidmo vayam sarve prichanto api pitam aham gatihi shama damatyanam swargah sukrita karmanam brahme tapasi yuktanam brahma lokah paragati gavam ev tu goloko dora ruha hi sa gatihi sa tu lokas tvaya Krishna siddha manah kritatmana dhrito dhritatma vira nigna to padravan gavam. When the king of heaven Indra surrendered to Krishna after Krishna had raised Govardhan hill, Lord Indra stated that above the planetary systems where human beings reside is the sky, where birds fly. Above the sky is the sun and its orbit. This is the entrance to the heavenly planets. Above the heavenly planets are other planets up to Brahmalok, where those advancing in spiritual knowledge reside. The planets up to Brahmalok are the part of material world Devi Dham. Because the material world is under the control of Devi Durga, it is called Devi Dham. Above Devi Dham is a place where Lord Shiva and his wife Uma reside. Those brightened by spiritual knowledge and liberated from material contamination reside in that Shivalok. Beyond that planetary system is the spiritual world, where there are planets called Vaikuntha Lokas. Golok Vrindavan is situated above all the Vaikuntha Lokas. Golok Vrindavan is the kingdom of Srimati Radharani and the parents of Krishna. Maharaj Nand and Mother Yashoda. In this way, there are various planetary systems and they are all creations of Supreme Lord, as stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.43. Goloka Namni Nijdhamni Tale Chatasya Devi Mahesha Hari Dhamsu Teshu Teshu Tete Prabhava Nishchaya Vihitas Chayena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Below the planet named Golok Vrindavan are the planets known as Devi Dham, Mahesh Dham and Haridham. These are opulent in different ways. These are managed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, the original Lord. I offer my obeisances unto him. Thus Golok Vrindavan Dham is situated above the Vaikuntha planets. The spiritual sky containing all the Vaikuntha planets is very small compared to Golok Vrindavan Dham. The space occupied by Golok Vrindavan Dham is called Mahakasha, or the greatest sky of all. Lord Indra said, we asked Lord Brahma about your eternal planet, but we could not understand it. Those fruitive actors who have controlled their senses and mind with pious activities can be elevated to the heavenly planets. Pure devotees who are always engaged in Lord Narayan's service are promoted to the Vaikuntha Lokas. However, my Lord Krishna, your Golok Vrindavan Dham is very difficult to attain, yet both you and that supreme planetary system have descended here upon this earth. Unfortunately, I have disturbed you by my misdeeds, and that was due to my foolishness. I am therefore trying to satisfy you by my prayers. Sri Nilakantha confirms the existence of Golok Vrindavan Dham by quoting the Rig Samhita, Rig Veda 1.154.6. Tavam Vastuni Ushmasi Gamadhyai Yatra Gavo Bhuri Shringa Ayasah Atraha Tad Urugayasya Krishna Paramam Padam Avbhati Bhuri. We wish to go to your Radha's and Krishna's beautiful houses, about which cows with large excellent horns are wandering, yet distinctly shining on this earth is that supreme abode of yours that showers joy on all. O Urugaya Krishna, who is much praised. So Urugaya is how Krishna is called, which means Krishna who is much praised. Verse 117 and 118. Moshala lila ara Krishna antardhana Keshavavatar ara yata viruddha vyakhyan mahishi haran adi sab maya maya vyakhya shikhaila yaiche susiddhant haya. Illusory stories opposed to the conclusions of Krishna consciousness concern the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna's disappearance, the story that Krishna and Balram arise from a black hair and white hair of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and the story about the kidnapping of the queens. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Sanatana Goswami the proper conclusions of these stories. Purport: due to envy, many asuras describe Krishna to be like a black crow or an incarnation of a hare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami how to counteract these asuric explanations of Krishna. The word Kaka means crow and Kesha means hare. The asuras describe Krishna as an incarnation of crow, an incarnation of Shudra, a blackish tribe, and an incarnation of a hare, not knowing that the word Kesha means Ka, Isha, and that Ka means Lord Brahma and Isha means Lord. Thus the word Kesha indicates that Krishna is the Lord of Lord Brahma. Some of the Lord Krishna's pastimes are mentioned in the Mahabharata as Moshala Lila. These include the stories of the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna's disappearance, his being pierced by a hunter's arrow, the story of Krishna's being an incarnation of the piece of hair Kesha avatar, as well as Mahishi Harana, the kidnapping of Krishna's queens. Actually, these are not factual but are related for the bewilderment of the asuras who wait to prove that Krishna is an ordinary human being. They are false in the sense that these pastimes are not eternal, nor are they transcendental or spiritual. There are many people who are by nature averse to the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Such people are called asuras. They have mistaken ideas about Krishna As stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, the Asuras are given a chance to forget Krishna more and more birth after birth. Thus they make their appearance in a family of Asuras and continue this process. Being kept in bewilderment about Krishna, Asuras in the dress of sannyasis even explain the Bhagavad-Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam in different ways according to their own imagination. Thus they continue to remain Asuras birth after birth. As far as the Kesha avatar, or the incarnation of the hare, is concerned, it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7.26. The Vishnu Puran also states Ujjahara Manaha Keshav Sita Krishno Mahabala. Similarly, it is stated in Mahabharat Adipar 189.31 and 32. Sa chapi Keshav Harir Uchchakarta Ekam Shuklam Aparam Chapi Krishnam Tau Chapi Keshav Avishtam Yadunam Kule Striyo Rohinim Devakim Cha Tayor Eko Bala Bhadro Babhuv Yo Sau Shvetas Tasya Devasya Kesha Krishno Dvitiya Keshavah Sambhuva Kesha Yo Sau Varnitaha Krishna Ukta. Thus in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vishnu Puran and the Mahabharata, there are references to Krishna and Balram being incarnations of a black hare and a white hare. Respectively, it is stated that Lord Vishnu snatched 2 hairs, one white and one black, from his head. These 2 hairs entered the wombs of Rohini and Devaki, members of Yadu dynasty. Balram was born from Rohini and Krishna was born of Devaki. Thus Balram appeared from the first hair and Krishna from the second hair. It is also foretold that all the Asuras who are enemies of the demigods would be cut down by Lord Vishnu by his white and black plenary expansions and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appear and perform wonderful activities. In this connection, one should see the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, the chapter called Krishnamrita, verses 156 to 164. Srila Rupa Goswami has refuted this argument about the hare incarnation, and in his refutation he supported by Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentaries. This matter is further discussed in the Krishna Sandarbha 29 and the commentary known as Sarva Samvadini by Srila Jiva Goswami. Verse 119. Tabe Sanatana Prabhura Charane Dhariya Nivedana Kare Dante Trina Gucha Lena. Sanatana Goswami then humbly accepted his position as lower than the piece of straw, and symbolically holding some straw in his mouth, he fell down, clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and submitted the following petition. Verse 120. Neech Jati Neech Sevi Muni Supamara Siddhanta Sikhaila Ye Brahmana Agochara. Sanatana Goswami said, My dear Lord, I am a very low-born person. Indeed, I am a servant of 2 low-born people. Therefore, I am very, very downtrodden. Nonetheless, you have taught me conclusions unknown even to the Brahma. Verse 121. Tumiye kahila e siddhant mrita sindhu mora mana chunite nare ihar ek bindu. The conclusions that you have told me are the ocean of the ambrosia of truth. My mind is unable to approach even a drop of that ocean. Verse 122. Pangu na chaite yadi haya tumar mana var deha mor mathe dhariya charana. If you want to make a lame man like me dance, kindly bestow your transcendental blessings by placing your lotus feet on my head. Verse 123. Muni ye shikhailun tore sfurka sakala ei tomar vara haite habe mora bala. Now will you please tell me, let whatever I have instructed all be fully manifested unto you. By blessing me in this way, you will give me strength to describe all this. So, moving on to verse 124. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tandra Shire Dhari Kare Vardilaya E Sabas Furak Tomare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then placed his hand on Sanatana Goswami's head and blessed him, saying, Let all these instructions be manifested to you. Verse 125. Sankshepe Kahilun Prema Prayojana Samvad Vistari Kahana Na Yai Prabhura Prasad Thus, I have briefly described a discussion of the ultimate goal of life, love of Godhead, which is the title of this chapter, chapter 23. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cannot be described expansively. It has to be felt deep down in your heart as you go through it, read it, or try to understand from the Mahabhagavats. Verse number 126. Prabhura Upadeshamrita Shune Ye Jana Achirat Milaye Tandre Krishna Premadhana. Whoever hears these instructions given to Sanatana Goswami by the Lord comes very soon to realize love of God, Krishna. Verse 127. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yar Asr Chaitanya Charitamrit Kahe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, following in their footsteps, purport thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, Madhya Lila, 23rd chapter, describing love of Godhead. So next time we will commence chapter number 24, which is the 61 explanations of the Atmaram verse. So thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. And tomorrow is Mohini Ekadashi. So happy Ekadashi to everyone who is hearing.